Okay, so this is part 2 of our plaster demo. Thank you for the audio accompaniment. We've let these sit now for about 2 hours. So I'm going to now demold these. The first thing I'm going to demold is I'm just going to kind of, so this one camera, you can see that there's this kind of plaster embedded. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick it up here, so we can see it, I think, in 2 cameras. And I'm just going to start basically peeling it off. And so again, just the way Chella made this was she just kind of stuck her fingers in some clay. And that's what we've got. So we've got, you can see knuckles. If you want to try zooming in on that, I'll hold this exactly so maybe people can see like I'll find it. So we have like some real detail there, surprising amount of detail. We almost have some fingernails action here. You'll notice that things get a little bit squashed at the fingertips. And you'll notice, if you think about it, there's the pressure of the clay on your fingers. And so even just for a second, if I do that, you can see my finger stays. And that's essentially what happens, is that the clay kind of pushes itself together. And my gut is that as Chella was reforming and making sure there was no leaking, it kind of squashed it a little bit more. But it's a quite beautiful little object. Okay, so what I would do at this point is I would dunk this in some water. So I'm just going to go let this sit in some water to make it so the clay comes off a little easier. Okay, so, and say I wanted to make another mold out of this. I could just basically press this back together, and I could really just pinch it. And every time you make a mold, you would end up with a slightly different version of it. But there would be a certain fidelity between one to the next to the next. And so with this mold making method, you would end up casting, let me see if I can see, you'd end up casting some of these cracks in the next copy. And you can imagine that there's something to seeing the same thing losing its fidelity each time. So I want you to be sensitive to that as you're making things and as you're thinking things, that each mold is an opportunity for another exploration. Okay, so the other kind of quick and dirty thing that we made was, I'll lift it up so we have it in 2 cameras, is that we have this, you can even try hand holding that one. We're trying to improve our methods here. Okay, so I have this bubble wrap. There's no mold release on it. Plaster does not stick very much to plastic at all. So I'm just going to flip it over so you can kind of see what it looks like as I demold it. And so I'll just take it. So what you're seeing is you're seeing the negative space of the bubble wrap. So on this side, it looks exactly what it looked like, but on this side, it's something completely different. And it's honestly, it's quite different than what this looks like. The bubble wrap does not look like this solid object. There's something very different that happens when you make this transfer, but yet your eye still completely recognizes this as bubble wrap. So just a technical thing that we did was we added fiber from some burlap sacks that came from a local coffee shop that we collected. And so I just embedded some string. I guess this is Plaster Demo 1 Part 2. And we're gonna stop this recording and we're gonna start a new one momentarily where we're gonna make a different piece and we're gonna add to this piece. Okay.